Today we're going to go back in history. I am very, very excited to have a company that started back in 1913. Can you believe it? A family business going on for over 102 years. We have to say longevity and prosperity is what we're looking for. This is Arlington Prospect Advice Givers Podcast, where I interview local entrepreneurs, business owners, and thought leaders in the community I think you should know. I'm your host, Steve Wyrick, and I just want to continue to thank the audience as I do every show. Please support the podcast. If these businesses and entrepreneurs in the area need our support, the more we support them, the more we continue to spend our dollars with them, the stronger the community becomes. So today, I'm really, really excited to have on Dan Novak. Novak and Parker Home Appliance located in Mount Prospect. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing well. Good to meet you, Steve.
So I just want to start the show by getting some background on yourself and some of the amazing history that there is at Novak and Parker.
I think more importantly than myself, I think the history of the company Novak and Parker is probably most important. Being over 100 years old is pretty amazing. You know, on a daily basis, I never even think about it. In fact, I very rarely reflect on it because there is so much activity and things that have to be done on the current day basis. But when you do think about it, it's absolutely amazing that a single company of the same family being in business for over 100 years, and a small business. You know, some of the large businesses, even them, are very rarely over 100 years. I think at one point I remember hearing that less than 0.5% of businesses today are 100 years old. So that's pretty surprising and a testament to our company and our family. So, but again, to the company, it started in 1913 with my grandfather, and at the time his partner Robert Parker. They were actually electricians. It was kind of before appliances were an everyday item. So they were electricians, and they were young, and they worked out of the back of a building in Park Ridge. And they used to take bicycles, and cars even weren't pretty predominant back then. And they used to wire houses, and they did a lot of house wiring in Park Ridge, and then also displays and very little in Mount Prospect, and maybe not even in Mount Prospect, to be honest with you. But that's how it originated. Was my grandfather was an electrician, and then when appliances became available, they started taking appliances out. I think, in fact, I don't think they had a showroom until in the 20s sometime, and I have a picture of one from 26 when the showroom was pretty nice, and refrigerators were, there might have been 5 models at the time, but they had 5 models on display and things like that. So that's kind of the start of it. And then, one of the biggest questions is Parker still involved? When they meet me, I'm a Novak. And no, Parker is no longer involved in the company. Back in the Depression of World War II, the story goes, and I'm sure it was embellished many times.
Yeah, right. I love stories in family generation when they get passed down. They're always a little bit more, little more drama, but I love it. I like to hear it.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I have no idea how it is at this point, but the story goes, back in the Depression of World War II, the business can only support one family. So one person had to be purchased out. So they flipped a coin, and actually they said it's been told to me that the loser was the one that had to buy the other person out, which happened to be my grandfather, if that were a true statement. Again, I have no idea what the embellishment was, and I'm sure it was pretty top. But I do know, just from records, I have some really cool old bookkeeping records from the 40s, and I do recall seeing the transaction when my grandfather had purchased Mr. Parker out of the company, and so that's when it's transitioned to a Novak family company. We have always kept the name. They would never ever think of changing it. So that's kind of the old story. And then, as generations got on, my dad and his brother were both involved in the business after they served in the Navy. So they were in the Pacific War, And when they came back, my grandfather was aging at that time. They had kids late, and my parents had kids late, and I had kids late. So my grandfather was aging when they got back, and they took over. My dad took over the retail side, and my uncle had taken over the electrical side, who was unfortunately is deceased, and that is no longer a part of the company, but it hasn't been for some time. But obviously, the retail side has. And then I took over I got out of school in 2004, and I purchased a business in 2006 from my father. And yeah, so it's 20 years for myself, and pretty surprising, actually.
Yeah, I mean the story of the flip of the coin is really is cool, and I like the way you tell the story because so many things in life. I mean, a flip of a coin, the way the future goes. I mean, you guys run a really great business, a profitable business, and you provide a lot of great products and services for customers who come into the store in Mount Prospect. So I mean, you just don't hear stories like this. And before we got on air, I was sharing with you that, and I've shared it with the audience before, that my grandfather started a company 65 years ago and been involved with family members and buying them out. And it's always a very stressful thing to be in a family business. A lot of people think that, oh, hey, it's great. You get to work with your family on a day-to-day basis. But, with family comes, like I would say, a lot of drama. And but if just to go through the test of time like you guys have, I mean, it is something to be recognized and commended. So I really want to express that to the audience. To move on a little bit, I mean, I know you guys have been in Mount Prospect for a long time. Does it have a special meaning to you and at Novak and Parker to be a part of the community?
Yeah, we've been in Mount Prospect since '64 when the store was built in Parkridge prior to. But yeah, Mount Prospect and actually all the surrounding suburban areas around this area are great communities. I mean, Mount Prospect's been one of the best places to raise their kids. So Arlington Heights, Des Plaines, Park Ridge, who we have a pretty loyal client base, are great communities. And, we're not only fortunate to have our business in this area, but I'm also fortunate to live and raise my family in it as well. Through the years, they've always been very supportive of us, and I know other local businesses, and it comes to light with chamber events and things like that. Mount Prospect does a downtown organization as well. You know, and at a point in time, I was able to do a lot more. I still try to do what I can, but I wish I could do a lot more with the community events on a daily basis. But work and life activities
Right.
keep me pretty busy, unfortunately. I have 3 young children, and we have many different school activities and park district activities on a weekly basis. So between managing a company, a small business, and doing those other things, it certainly takes the
Yeah.
time. And at some point in time, hopefully get back into it.
Yeah, the juggling act of being an entrepreneur. That's why I really enjoy doing this show because hearing stories from you and other past guests and the future guests to come. Being an entrepreneur I mean, it takes up your life. Your business is your life, and your family. Sometimes I hate to say it, but sometimes they do come second, even though they are first, because the day to day operations to run the store. I mean, it's very very time consuming, and I can tell by coming through the store the couple times that I have that you guys run a really really good business that's on top of everything, and I think that's the reason why you guys are still there. So now, if I come into the store and I'm gonna start purchasing some things, or your typical customer walks in the door, what are some questions that they're gonna be asking when they come in?
That's a good one. But we're in retail, so you, usually the first is, are you competitively priced?
Yeah,
And the last is this a good price? I mean, that's general retail. I mean, let's face it, pricing, especially for a major purchase decision like we sell, is a large factor. And as we are a smaller company, people can't understand. Well, how to compete with other companies that are nationwide and have this big purchasing power? I mean, it's one of the biggest things that we face. And I have to say, it's really one of the easiest factors that we have to compete with on an everyday basis when you come in the store. Our largest challenge as an independent dealer is exposure to gain customers, exposure of marketing and brand recognition. Um, that's really the biggest challenge. Pricing is actually really easy. These mass merchants spend multi millions of dollars to gain that exposure in marketing activities and into making the average consumer believe that they have the best deal. But they're spending millions of dollars to do that. So there's no doubt that it works because they do get a lot of traffic and they have ample market share.
Right.
But they have to make up that marketing spend somehow. So whatever they buy, certainly they buy better, but whatever they buy better, they have to make up in margin for that marketing spend. There's just no doubt
Right.
how that works. So it's pretty easy how it works.
It's,
So that's one of the biggest questions. And obviously, for the people that are coming in and shopping, they want to know that, hey, are these products good? Are you going to stand behind it? And those are some of the things that they should be asking. I hate for people to not come in and cross our door because, I think they're going to be more expensive. That's not going to be the case. I can guarantee that. That's easy to guarantee. I just hope that they find a good value of when they come in for, hey, I came in there, I got a lot of education, I know I'm making the right purchase. I know, hey, if something has happened, that they're gonna stand behind it.
yeah. We're speaking with Dan Novak with Novak and Parker in Home Appliance located in Mount Prospect. Nowadays we're seeing what type of trends are you seeing in the store in the appliance space, and then we're starting to see more energy efficiency, right?
Yeah, manufacturers, it's mandatory that they come out with higher efficiency units. So I don't know if that's a trend that the consumers are really looking for. Obviously, we should all be looking for energy efficiency, but that's not something that I hear on a daily basis. But it's certainly something mandated by the Department of Energy that the manufacturers have to become more sustainable and energy efficient as they produce these. So it's definitely a trend in the manufacturing. I don't know if it's a trend in the consumer demand. There's certainly some, but not wholeheartedly. I see, trends of appliances are typically kind of design related, right? Stainless has been a major trend for many years, and it's still the most popular color. But there's still a need to try to create new colors and things like that. So, lightly, there's things that have been tried, like oil rub bronze. Black stainless is now available, which has done okay. There's slate in some manufacturers. There's white and black with stainless steel accents, a little bit more modern look.
Right.
So, however, I think the biggest thing in the premium appliances and high end, and I see a trend in higher end appliances, people are trying to acquire. There's so many different cooking shows on TV now that people really want to deck out their kitchen as best as possible. So we do see a trend to higher end, and in some of these higher end manufacturing, you can put a custom panel on a dishwasher or a custom wood panel on a refrigerator. So you choose the color basically at that point.
So do you think that, you kind of brought up a point that I wasn't really thinking about is how things kind of, when you start watching TV, I mean, people all watch HGTV now, they watch cooking channels. And in, 2000, 2001, when Emeril Lagasse hit the scene and the Food Network took off, and now we fast forward all the way till now. I mean, there's multiple networks that hold just broadcast food channels and home decor and things like that. Have you seen a pickup in your business because of that medium?
I would 100% agree that I don't know how to correlate it,
Yeah.
but I certainly would 100% agree that it certainly had an effect on anybody in the kitchen industry, whether kitchen remodeling, cabinetry, appliances, flooring, backsplashing. Yeah, I think we do owe a lot to that type of media attention, and people reviewing this and aspiring to it. There's no question in my mind it's been a help in our business.
Yeah, that's a good point. When nowadays, what are some appliances and brand names that you see people really gravitating towards, and something that certain products that you would recommend to people listening to the show?
Well, just like anything, people want to drive a good quality car. They want to use a quality pen, a phone, whatever you do on a daily basis, or whatever you're using on a daily basis. You want to have something that's good quality and durability. And however, typically we're all confronted with some type of budget, right? So there's always a budget to deal with. So I think it's most important to purchase the highest quality appliance for the available budget. And I really think that's where a company like ours is a large benefit to most any consumer. There are a lot of brands out there, and most of them are, for practical purposes, are decent units. It's I couldn't say if one's going to you buy this brand or that brand, if one's going to outlast another, or this one's going to have that much fewer service incident than the other. Most of the time, I can tell you, yeah, this typically has a lower service incident ratio. You really want some of these manufacturers that stand behind it when something is a failure, or because it does happen, especially when things are mass produced like they are now, and through production lines. Things can happen, they can fail, and it will. So you want manufacturers that stand behind their products and is right for the budget, the best product for your budget. We sell a lot of Whirlpool branded products, which I'm a big proponent of. They make 80%, more than 80% of their products now are made in the States, which I am a proponent of.
Yeah.
As long as they build it as good and they service it as good. I think, why wouldn't you buy in the United States manufacturing if the product's just as well as any other type of manufactured product outside the country?
Right. I mean, I hear about this all the time because, with my dad, my brother being in the tool and manufacturing industry, they're still building tools and dies in the United States, and they're still making product. Now, over the last 10, 15 years, 20 years, obviously China and Mexico has been building a lot of product, but they are coming back. And a lot of it is to do with, other countries getting, stronger currencies, where if their currency starting getting better, then the margins for these people to build it overseas, they're coming back, that's great news, because you're right. I mean, we want things made here, because the more we manufacture, the better our economy is going to be. No question about it. So I love it that you brought that up.
Yeah, and again, I think it's got to be the fact that it's got to benefit the consumer as well.
Right.
You certainly don't want to, hey, I'm going to buy U.S. because I'm going to spend X amount more because it's made in the U.S. Well, you have to give them a reason. Well, it's made in the U.S., but it's every bit as quality as good as an outside manufacturer.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. So you kind of answered my question I was going to ask you next. Because we're going into Novak and Parker, just from being an outsider walking through, I think that with your staff there, you really have that family vibe when you walk in the store. I mean, everyone's going to be very helpful, very knowledgeable to help you. And I think that, would you agree with me that that's kind of what sets you guys apart compared to other stores and retailers in the area?
Well, yeah, like I mentioned in the last question, one of the biggest benefits is a company like ours is use us as a resource, to find out what the best product is for your budget. I think that's one of the best things that we can do for you. And we're not going to charge you any more than another store or competitor. Reviews are a big thing now. You can read a lot of reviews online, but most of them, who knows if they're valid or not. So many companies hire out to place reviews for themselves, or place reviews for their company, or their competitors post their reviews of negativity. So I would hope that people feel comfortable coming into us to use us as a resource. And we have our best interest. We're in business for 100 years. Our best interest, we want to be around for 100 more, 10 more, whatever it is. We want to be around. And so we are looking out for their best interest and trying to find out what the best product is for the budget. We go through a lot of manufacturers. We deal with a lot of manufacturers on a daily basis. You can have a review tell you, or you can ask us and say, hey, this is our experience. We deal with a lot of appliances on a daily basis. This is a good product, this for that budget, and you know what? I think you'll like it based on our conversation. And if something should be awry with it, we'll certainly help you through it. Reviews can't do that for you.
Right. We're talking to Dan Novak and Novak and Parker. You definitely got to check out the website at www.novakandparker.com. Very easy website to navigate through. You're going to find all the information out that you need. To change gears a little bit, what's the best part in your world of being an entrepreneur?
Well, I don't consider myself to be a true entrepreneur. I like the challenge of running a business every day. There are so many different tasks I do on a daily basis that it's really downright amazing. From sales to accounting, working with the accountant all day yesterday, doing advertising, doing budgeting, purchasing, logistics, helping with servicing. I don't run these operations, but I'm involved in each one of them in different departments. So, that's the one thing I do definitely like is that every day is different. Every day is extremely challenging. You sometimes have to, you have to have a good staff for sure, especially with, we're not. It's not an individual business. I have 25 employees, so I certainly couldn't run it myself, and I really have to utilize their skills because I can't remember with all these different tasks what's going on. My brain capacity just can't do it. So, but I like being involved in all those different things, and working with them and trying to strategize. That's the best thing. As far as being an entrepreneur, I think my grandfather was the true entrepreneur.
Yeah.
He's the one that took the big gamble, founded the company, and established its roots. My father and I have benefited from that extremely well, and I think we've both found it rewarding to be able to keep, that type of business, that type of vision alive that was once started so many years ago.
Yeah, and what's so evident to a customer coming into the store is that you have kept that alive. I mean, the store is really run really well. And I think the people that go into the store are going to realize that they're in the area instead of going to these, obviously, like you said, you're there to, provide information for people, but instead of going to the big, whatever, Sears of the worlds and things like that, I mean, go into Novak and Parker, inquire and ask questions because they're going to help. I mean, it's a really, really good staff. Now, do you have a story? This is a question I kind of thought of for you because you guys have been around a long time, but I think it's a little more directed towards you and your 12 years of, I believe, ownership now. Do you have any story from the past when, let's say, all business owners go through this at some point in time where, things weren't going very well, and you were able to, kind of pull out of it or come out with an idea that kind of, got you out of the rut?
Yeah, very interesting question, and one you never want to dwell on those things that when you were low, right? But, interesting question. I've been very fortunate in the business, and while we have taken many risks, I mean, every business has to evolve. Yeah, we're 100 years old, but we certainly don't run the business the same as we did 100 years ago or even 10 years ago. You have to adapt to the new economy, the new consumers. I've been very fortunate in this business, and while I've taken many risks and changed many philosophies over the 20 years I've been involved, it's been decent. Even when they're the right calls, things are very stressful.
Oh, right.
It's a stressful position because you have 25 people that rely on you for incomes, and not all of them agree with you, and so it's very stressful. But at the same time, you like the challenge, and that's why we do it. But I will say, in 2008. Obviously, everybody knows what happened in 2008
That's why I
during
really
our
wanted.
time, right?
That's why I really wanted to ask you that question, is because we went through not to interrupt you, but we went through such a catastrophic event in 2008, and I know that all the the most successful businesses, no matter if it's 25 employees or 500 employees, a lot of great business owners really double down in times like that and make decisions that are very, very hard at the time, but they're able to do it. And now here we are 8 years later, and we're prospering again. So give me a little story about 2008 and how you came out of that.
Well, that's I decided to do a major renovation. Now you've been through the store.
Right.
It's really done well. We did a great job with it. The people I worked with did a wonderful job. But in 2008, we decided to do this major renovation. And for us, it was a huge cost. A lot of long term cash tied up. It was a huge cost, huge decision, and um, very, very stressful. The economy didn't tank at that time. You could see somewhat maybe the writing on the wall. I'm certainly not an economist, though, so I can't believe that. It needed to be done. We needed a refreshment. So regardless, it needed to be done. And we did it. And it was, I think it helped support us during that time as well as coming out of it. Even during the 2009, 2010, we were able to hold our own. Yeah, we lost. We lost business. So, we certainly constricted as far as volume, but not nearly as much as other companies. And maybe that is a lot due to our area and the consumers that we have and support us. In fact, I know it is. But very stressful. Now, would it would I have been gun shy after going through 2008, 9, and 10? Possibly, but at the time, I'm so glad that we did do it at the time because I could have been gun shy after. Don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that was. So many people who expanded during that time because it was such a hard. You're kind of looking into the abyss, like, oh boy, what's going to happen? But a lot of times, throughout history, in times of real economic, downturns, the ones who come out on top are the ones who did take that risk and really put their belief in your business. Where you believe in your business, that's why you guys are successful. Most business owners who really believe in what they're doing are going to come out on top. And you have a great store, and I mean, I think you guys are going to be there. Like you said, the goal is another 100 years, and I don't see why not. So I just really want to thank you for coming on the show today. I mean, you've been a great guest and just a pillar in the community for being, just the longevity fact, but the service and the products that you provide for Mount Prospect and all your customers is great. Now, can you let us know how we can get in touch with you, exactly where you're located, website, all that good information, so we can get the advice giver listeners to come by the store.
Yeah, I'd be glad to. So the store location is 1016 East Northwest Highway in Mount Prospect. So we're basically Northwest Highway and Mount Prospect Road, just 100 yards west on Northwest Highway from Mount Prospect Road. So that's the physical address. The phone number is 847-259-2550. And our website is it's www.novakandparker.com. That's NOVAKANDPARKER.com.
Okay, well, thanks again for joining me today on the show. This has been Arlington Prospect Advice Givers, and I want to continue to thank everybody for downloading the show, going to iTunes, leaving reviews. The more listener support we get, the more business is going to come towards Dan Novak and all the other past guests we've had on. I can't stress it enough. Every time I sound like a broken record, but we spend our dollars in the community. The community pays us back. I mean, there's no debating it. So go out, support your local businesses, and we as a community will definitely thrive. If you want to get in touch with me, you can email me at stevew@arlington-prospectadvicegivers.com. If you have a possible guest you think that would be helpful to the show, or someone who you think needs to be heard, shoot me an email. Like I said, go to iTunes, download the podcast, leave a review. And until next time, bye for now.